This is a really important time for following up on the deal that the P5+1 struck with Iran and backing President Obama as he sells this deal to the country. Because really, as we said, we have an interim agreement with an aim towards a final deal to be signed in the early summer. What you're going to have right now and what is happening is that the Congress and the lobbies from the Gulf to the Israelis, everybody who's hell bent on destroying this deal for any reason, from political delusions and fanaticism and craziness about Iran, which I think for some members of Congress is an authentically held position, or the massive media and fundraising and political opportunities that arise from being a flat earther on this deal. And then, of course, the geostrategic concerns that those that look at security from a very particular perspective of either a very hard right Israeli or as a Gulf state like Saudi Arabia. These are the factions. We've talked about the factions that oppose this deal. Now, what's happened today, which is potentially very, very problematic, but not as bad as it could have been, is that the Senate, it looks like, has struck a deal for to pass an Iran package that will pass in a bipartisan enough fashion to override President Obama's veto. Now, the initial version of this bill basically said Congress needs an up or down vote on the final version of this bill. That stays in the compromise. Congress needs to review and look at the details of this bill before they vote on it. It needs 52 days to review. And the president is required to certify to Congress every 90 days that Iran is complying with its end of the agreement. And it forces the president to report in a detailed manner to Congress on a variety of issues, including the nuclear program, but also Iran's ballistic missile program. There was big news on that today because Russia has actually just agreed to sell Iran some very sophisticated missile weaponry. But again, it's defensive missile weaponry, which is, as the Russians pointed out, that this was not offensive technology. It's preemptive, but it is very sophisticated. So this is obviously going to make a deal harder. Now, this deal, though, that they've struck between Corker and Ben Cardin is better than the one Menendez and Corker were pushing because it doesn't have any crap in it. It doesn't have Iran can't fund terrorist groups. It doesn't have Iran must recognize Israel. It doesn't have all these other ancillary issues that people are trying to force in to ruin a deal with Iran. Now, it's just as President Obama said, it's not like issues with Iran are going to go away. It's not like there's a complete convergence of interests between the United States and Iran. And there is going to be a disagreement, obviously, between this Iranian leadership and the United States about Israel and rhetoric about Israel. Now, what does that mean on a concrete level of policy and security? Pretty much nothing. Iran is going to back the Houthis. Iran is going to back Hezbollah. And Iran, in fact, of course, is going to back groups in Iraq and Syria fighting ISIS that we're on the same side of. They don't perceive Hezbollah or Hamas to be terrorist organizations. They perceive particularly Hezbollah to be an essential part of their security strategy in the region. And that's just reality. And I think the Houthis, again, we're backing the Saudis fighting the Houthis in Yemen when we know that the Houthis have actually been very, very strong fighters against al-Qaeda in Yemen. So maybe, again, a questionable strategic choice there. But Iran, whether or not we loathe these groups like Hezbollah, whether or not we loathe Iran's rhetoric about us or Israel, these are ancillary issues that people are disingenuously trying to insert in to kill what is a major breakthrough in world security and has already changed the nature of our relationship with Iran. And as everybody knows, I've said it many, many times, there's no reason why we couldn't have a more normalized, more healthy relationship with Iran. There's no reason why Iran and the United States can't cooperate on certain important security issues, which we already do. And the idea of throwing this deal away And trying to increase the likelihood of war, instability, and outdated security frameworks in this region, on top of all of the crises, humanitarian, strategic, security, and environmental, that we're already facing, is grotesque and stupid.